Start of the modern age, in around 1500, most people still couldn't calculate. At markets, for example, all sorts of currencies were in use, but most people lacked the knowledge to check the merchant's price. The abacus is a mechanical aid to arithmetic. It's used to this day in Japan, China and Russia. Its name probably comes from the Phoenician word abak, which means dust or sand. In other words, the dust or sand in which you could write. Because before the Babylonians invented the wooden frame with movable beads a good 5,000 years ago, pebbles on lines drawn in the sand fulfilled the same purpose. The Romans had a pocket calculator, or rather pocket abacus, made of metal. The movable buttons were called calculi, hence our word calculate. The abacus was also known in Germany, and it formed the basis for the counting boards used by Adam Ries. So-called counting pennies were moved around this board. In this way, pupils learnt to read off the result of a calculation simply by counting the pennies on the lines. In Ries's day, Roman numerals were still in use. These were letters of the alphabet. I for 1, V for 5, X for 10, L for 50, C for 100, D for 500, and M for 1,000. The number represented here consists of the letters for 1,000, 500, 100, 50, 10 and 1. Add them together and you get 1,666. These letters determine the subdivision of Ries's counting boards. The horizontal lines from bottom to top represent the units, tens, hundreds and thousands. The thousands line is marked with a cross. The spaces between the lines represent the values 5, 50 and 500 respectively. Between a line and the next space up, the value of a penny therefore increases by a factor of 5. Between a space and the next line up, by a factor of 2. Vertical lines divide the board into separate boxes for the different numbers involved in a calculation. These are displayed on the board using the counting pennies. If we now have 5 pennies lying along a line, they're replaced by 1 penny in the next space up. Because 5 times 1 is the same as 1 times 5, so 1 penny in the 5 space is the same as 5 in the 1 space. In the same way, 2 5s are 10, in other words, 1 penny on the tens line, the next line up. After completing this procedure known as lifting, we have 1 penny on the hundreds line, 2 on the tens line, and 1 on the units line, in other words, 121. To perform an addition, we add the second number to the adjacent box, for example, 92. In Roman numerals, it consists of an L or 50, 4 X's or 10s, and 2 I's or 1s. After the pennies are laid out, they're pushed across to join those in the left-hand box. Now the number is simplified once more by lifting. 5 of the 6 pennies on the tens line are replaced by 1 in the 50 space. We now have 2 there, so they can be replaced by 1 on the 100s line. Now we can simply read off the result. 2 hundreds, 1 10 and 3 1s, 213. In Roman numerals, that's CCXIII.